Well, you talk in the book a lot about the three ways, and I think you're leading into that with what you just said. Can you discuss the three ways a little bit and how it applies to this better world?
Yeah, so the Phoenix Project was very much modeled after one of my favorite books, which is called The Goal, and that was written by Dr. Eliyahu Goldratt in the 1980s, who is credited with being one of the three founders of the manufacturing movement, the other two being Dr. Deming and the other being Taiichi Ohno and the people who created the lean manufacturing methods. And so one of the things they both have in common is a Yoda-like character, who speaks in very cryptic ways. And so in the Phoenix Project, our Yoda character speaks in the language of the three ways. And the three ways are intended to be a set of principles from which you can derive all of the DevOps patterns from. So the first way is all about flow, as you go from left to right in the value stream, from development to operations. And the goal is to have work go quickly from left to right. It shouldn't ping-pong back and forth between development and operations. It shouldn't be held up by security. Like manufacturing, the goal is to move work quickly, to have fast flow. And the best known methods, for example, like Amazon and Google, these organizations are doing tens of thousands of deploys per day, right? And this is in contrast to, I think, what is more typical, which is most organizations do one deploy every 9 months. Right? So the second way is the reciprocal, is how do you create feedback from right to left. So the first way is flow from left to right of work, and the second way is about feedback of information as we go from right to left. So how do we take the key learnings that we can only learn during a production outage or a service impairment or a security breach and make sure that gets fed to the very beginning of the line so we can ideally prevent bad things from happening again, or if we can't prevent it, at least be able to detect and correct. And so that, those patterns that come from the second way include having operations be able to hand back, fragile code saying, this service has lots of potential, but it keeps breaking in production, and just like a puppy who keeps peeing on the floor, right? And eventually, the operation should be able to say, please take over managing this, and until the puppy's house trained, and then we will, take over, custodianship of the puppy again. I think the best adage of the second way came from a gentleman named Patrick Lightbody. He was the founder of a company called Browser Mob, and he said, "We found that when we woke up developers at 2 a.m., defects got fixed faster than ever." Right? And I think this just embodies this notion that in order to have genuinely shared goals, we have to have shared pain.
Right.
And then the third way is all about creating a culture of continuous experimentation and learning. The whole notion that we have to have the habits that say every day we're expected to experiment, to take risks. Just because we've done it in the same way for the last 10 years doesn't mean that we have to do it the same way today. And this notion that repetition is a prerequisite to mastery, that whether we're learning to play a musical instrument, training a sports team to win, or training special forces in the military, it's always better to practice 15 minutes a day every day than to practice once a week for 4 hours.